Men trash.
Cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men. We have to have that viewpoint because of how much we've been attacked just by
As
that
a
gender.
white woman, aware of my own privilege in this country, I am
Patriarchy has
so
taught us
Actual reasons are a combination of fat
Here are
phobia,
5 things you can do to make spaces more inclusive for
classism, and
LGBTQ.
White women are one of the most dangerous groups in the United States and abroad.
Your job to tell them that's okay.
Why are women woke? This is a question that I've been pondering for a while, and while at first you might assume that it is because they are more emotional, I believe this to be a very rudimentary understanding of what exactly attracts women to this ideology. But before we start, let's first define what exactly it means to be woke. To be woke is to perceive people foremost as witting or unwitting perpetrators or victims of oppression, and to believe that it is necessary to regulate how and how much people speak and how they act if there is a perceived power differential. And more simply put, it is the making sacred of peoples on the basis of gender, race, and sexual preference under the assumption that they were historically marginalized. And while it is obvious that women are more woke, let's see if the data lines up with this. A Scandinavian study shows that women are twice as likely to be woke when compared to men, with half of women agreeing with statements like, if white people have on average a higher level of income than black people, it is because of racism, while men are very unlikely to agree. Nearly 70% of women under 30 vote Democrat. Men are twice as likely to say DEI is a bad thing. With 12th grade students, more than twice as many women identify with being liberal as conservative, and men are nearly twice as likely to be conservative over liberal. And even the trans youth are 83% female. Now, I believe we can trace this difference to the woke ideology being inherently female, with its emphasis on nurturing the children, aka the oppressed, and providing the necessities rather than instilling in these political children a sense of duty and personal agency like a father would. And this misplaced maternal instinct is exacerbated by the fact that 50% of Western women in their 30s do not have a child, and 50% of them will likely never have one. Now, the absence of children does not eliminate a woman's natural maternal instinct. Many of these women will be directed to the woke ideology because it gives them an avenue to direct this motherliness by telling them who to be compassionate towards and who to care for. They even express this care and compassion largely the same way a mother would. Mothers have an inflated view of their children, and they will defend their children because they are helpless, and they will sacrifice their welfare for the sake of their children. This explains why many of these women support movements that on their face hurt them, because even though there is a strong overlap between the ideologies, these women are not feminist in the classic sense. They will support men and women's sports. Why? Because they fall higher on the victim hierarchy, aka more helpless. White women will hate the white race because the white race is responsible for the oppression of their children. This seeming compassion is the most toxic trait of the ideology. They are compassionate more towards the criminal than the victim, the illegal alien over the native, the transitioner over the detransitioner, and the careless woman over the unborn child. You can see this tilt towards wokeness in women without children reflected in their voting practices. Married women, who would of course be more likely to have children, vote Democrat 45% of the time, while never married women vote Democrat 72% of the time. Another factor in play in why women adhere to this ideology is that due to their position as the most vulnerable sex, women are more agreeable. To not disrupt the balance and risk their place in society, women tend to reflect the ideology of the greater group and the elite. In a conservative society, women will be more conservative, while the dissenting views will come from men. You can imagine why women have adopted this survival strategy. If a woman is a part of a tribe and disagrees with the norms and rules in place, she realizes, either subconsciously or consciously, that that could lead to her removal from the tribe, while a man might be more likely to be a contrarian because he is more independent of the group than the female. If threatened with removal, he could defend himself physically. If thrown out, he is much more likely to survive. On top of the negative effects of dissenting, women are more insulated from the negative effects of the ideology itself. While men are subjected to rhetoric such as men ain't crap, men are trash, or I don't need no man, there are no female equivalents. The underlying theme in the ideology is one of no accountability. You blame the hardships of your life on the unwitting or witting oppressors. These oppressors are straight white men. These men have no one to blame but themselves. Not only must they take personal accountability for their own life, but they also must take accountability for the lives of the oppressed. So not only does the ideology not make logical sense for men, it also doesn't provide any benefit. If you're a white straight male and you happen to be woke, you are still an oppressor and are doing the bare minimum. You will be subject to the highest level of scrutiny, and you will be excommunicated if you ever do anything that might be seen as oppressive. On top of the absence of benefits, there are several detriments. You will have to accept the constant shaming and the feelings of guilt. You will see others promoted around you in the name of diversity. You will have to sit back and watch the media and culture bash your sex and race. And worst of all, you will be expected to say it's good. For those reasons, it's not hard to see why men are more suspicious of this ideology. Women, however, if they fall in line, will be welcomed into a tight-knit community that promises support and understanding and emphasizes the need for social conformity and safe spaces which women are drawn towards. And in other more tangible ways, each woman, according to their place in the victim hierarchy, will benefit from the system. They will be favored in the workplace, college admissions, the court system, and society. And due to the desperation present in most men, they will still receive male validation. But as women are becoming more woke, we see the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction with men. More and more men are waking up to the reality of our world, and as we take part in this process, I pray we all take the right path forward.